The next thing we're going to do is create a sailboat. So first things first, we're going to make the base. How would you make the base of a boat? An ellipse, right? We make it so that it's curved upward. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my ellipse tool, and I'm going to deselect it off everything, and I'm going to go change the color to be a nice brown. So I'm going to double click, adjust my cursor on the right, go get a nice brown, and click OK. All right, off to the right over here, I'm going to create a boat. I'm going to go ahead and create a really large ellipse going across. And then my question to you is, how would you then turn this into a boat? I'll give you a hint. We just practiced it with the moon. So I'd like you to pause the video here and, using your own skills, turn this into a boat using an additional shape. You're going to need one more shape and the shape builder tool. And I really suggest that you pause the video here and try it on your own. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard with my selection tool selected. I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it upward. Not too far, but just enough. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab both shapes. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit further. Both shapes, and I'm going to grab my shape builder tool, and I'm going to remove the top two pieces. So again, my cursor has a plus sign next to it, but I'm going to hold Alt my keyboard and I'm going to remove them. Now I've got the base of my boat. Okay. I'm then going to go ahead and create a cast or the piece that holds up the sail. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rectangle tool. So I'm going to click and hold on my ellipse tool and grab my rectangle tool. And I'm going to then draw a rectangle right here, overlapping it. All right. Now these two shapes are going to then go ahead and be combined. So I'm going to grab both of them, take my shape builder tool, and this time with the plus sign, I'm going to drag across all three pieces so that they then become combined into one shape. Perfect. Now it's time to create the sail. All right, so my sail. Let's think about what a sail looks like. A sail has usually a top and a bottom that are even, but then it curves on the sides. So what shapes would we use to create a sail? Well, if I want a top and a bottom that are even and straight in line, I'm definitely going to need a rectangle. So with everything deselected, I'm going to grab my rectangle tool and I'm going to go change the color to be a nice creamish color, almost like a sail, but not, a pretty sail, and click OK. I'm then going to draw a rectangle across this, and I'm going to go a little bit further to the right than I am to the left because I'm creating a sail off to the right over here. All right, I've got my sail here. This looks great. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to need to curve the edges of it. So how would I curve them? To curve the edges, I can grab a circle and I can draw an ellipse. Now here's what's really cool about ellipse and any shape really, is I can go to the dead center of this square or this rectangle and I can begin to draw an ellipse tool. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down actually. And I'm going to go deselect it. So I'm going to click off of it. And then go grab my ellipse tool. With it deselected, I can still find the center point because it's going to highlight the center. And I can then click and begin dragging. Well, if I drag, it's going to make it go down to the bottom right. But if I hold Alt on my keyboard, it's actually going to draw out from the center. And if you continue to hold Alt, you'll see that you can actually make a perfect circle with this shape. So I can actually draw out from the center rather than drawing down to the right, which is really cool, especially if you know the center point of something. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out a circle. Now, I don't need it necessarily to be a perfect circle, but I do want it to be a circle nonetheless. So I'm going to do an ellipse like this and let go. I'm then going to take this ellipse with my selection tool, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it across until it lines up. Now, if you can't see your circle on top of the other one, just go ahead and adjust the fill color of it slightly so you can see them overlapping, because it doesn't really matter. We can always change the fill color back when we're done. With these two selected, I'm going to do, before I begin combining these shapes, I'm going to duplicate this oval for later so I have that same curve and I don't lose that curve when I combine these. With these selected, I'm going to select the circle and the square. I'm going to grab my shape builder tool. And my question is, what do you want to keep and what do you want to get rid of, right? In this case, I want to keep the circle and the square, but I want to get rid of these corners off to the side. So I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard to get rid of these corners. And actually, if you look at it at that point, I can take the circle and I can drag it off and I don't even need it anymore and I still have that curve, okay? I can do the same thing off to the edge over here where I create a shape so I can move this circle over here, line it up, select both by clicking and dragging, and I can grab my shape builder tool, and this time I can remove all of these pieces, the corners, the circle, all of it, and let go. And now I now have the same curve, and I've just created a sail for my boat. That's how you can utilize shapes to really create something. And even if this curve isn't exactly what you want it to be, you've still got this circle over here. You could line it up a little bit better. Select both, use the shape builder tool to remove that edge piece. And now you would even have a better curve. Whoops, selecting off the circle here. Oh, looks like it deleted the whole thing. Let's try it again. I should be able to just delete this edge piece right here, and then take this circle and drag it off and have a better curve to my sail there. But you can use any shape as a guideline to be able to cut into any other shape and create a quick boat. All right, so you're going to want to save this here, and you're definitely going to want to upload this we're going to go File, and we're going to go here to export it real quick for screens. And you're going to export this artboard. Sorry, my screen is freaking out here. Export this artboard, go ahead and name it your last name, and then Shapes Practice. Make sure you're exporting it to the right folder. I'm going to remove my suffix for my JPEG, save it as a JPEG, and export it so that you can upload it with your assignment.